is Notsam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Welcome back. This is a very special day. It's always a special day when Karl Anderson is here. Welcome back, Karl Anderson.
Yeah, so what an introduction. Thank you, Sam. It warms my heart to know that you enjoy talking to me as much as I enjoy talking to you ever since the time I busted into your studio, full Bullet Club gear, fresh off the plane, wearing all my own merchandise.
That's right.
And you still didn't think I was an idiot, baby.
Not only were
Thanks
you
for having me back.
Of course, not only were you wearing all your old merchandise, you had a luggage full of merchandise ready to cart down to Rahway so you could try to make a couple extra bucks.
Oh, let me tell you the payday I walked out of there with. Baby. Oh man, people say they don't do well in the Indies, man. I'm ready to prove I can prove you wrong.
Well, yeah, you were kind of the beginning of that. I feel like you were right there at the forefront of making money on the Indies, right? I mean, now it's almost like people say that there's this model that's been set up by other people. But I'm here to tell you, I remember the conversations with you about things like the Bullet Club and things like making money independently in wrestling way before. I mean, years ago, before anybody was talking about everything that's going on now. You know,
and I love where I'm at. I love being in the WWE, of course. That was the main goal at the end.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stay here for years after I win the Royal Rumble. But the thing is Gallows and I enjoyed it, man, because I had my New Japan contract. And when I'd go home for 2 weeks, I was brothering on the weekends. I enjoyed getting out. I enjoy professional wrestling. I enjoy seeing the people. I enjoy seeing those big crowds. And I enjoy selling my merchandise. And it was and we, fortunately made a lot of money.
Right. Now,
great.
And I mean, and that's clear to anybody. Now, I feel like every time we get together, something special happens within those conversations that maybe we don't know is going to be as special as it is until later on. Like what we said the first time we got together and all this stuff. We were kind of forecasting what the wrestling world would look like for years to come. Another time we got together at Caroline's on Broadway in New York City, the first thing that you and Luke Gallows are talking about, and this is before everybody else was talking about it, was the Rock and Roll Express obsession. And I feel like now that they've since gone into the Hall of Fame, you guys were there for it. It's become a legend that is so much bigger than just a name drop on a podcast. Yeah,
and like and it wasn't just a name drop because we actually, I grew up in North Carolina. 1984, 1985. I had posters of the Rock and Roll Express all over my room. I remember I had this one poster of Ricky and Robert looking at you. I'd walk by the poster and I'd flash "I love you" sign at them because that was what they did.
Yeah.
And I'd walk by that. I would take pictures with my camera. My mom had got me a camera that you can get the pictures developed. I'd take pictures of myself standing in front of it. So I actually invented the selfies as well, Sam.
With the help, wow.
My mom would develop pictures and go, "What were you doing here?" And I go, "I was the third Rock and Roll Express guy." Like,
and you got another roll of film for her to develop. It's just more selfies with you and Ricky and Robert just hanging out.
Yeah, and I got to say, like, some of the Hall of Fame speeches go way too long, but I felt like the Rock and Roll Express went way too short. Like, I could have easily listened to another 30 minutes from the Rock and Roll Express compared to, some.
I mean, was there any better feeling that when the Rock and Roll Express showed up there and in the most rock and roll way possible, they pulled out like 7 sheets of paper just out of their pocket and tried to spread it out across the podium so they could read it all?
Man, what a pop! And seeing those guys down at the pool during the week and talking to Ricky and Robert, they got so many stories and like, man, it's just the real deal because they're real brothers that still make towns on the weekends.
Oh yeah, they do. Now I feel like that's why you enjoy yourself so much in this world of wrestling. I feel like you and Luke Gallows are two of the people that have never forgotten who that little kid was that was taking selfies with the Rock and Roll Express poster, that you kind of are still pinching yourself at all the fun stuff that you get to do, and like you said earlier, make a lot of money doing it.
For sure, and it's the Christmas tour. After Christmas, we go we go to Chicago and Baltimore and New York and all that. And John Cena was on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
And Cena's always been friends with the Good Brothers, and I hadn't seen John in a while, and John goes, "Hey, Good Brothers," and I said, "John, you're still making towns even after all that Bumblebee money, baby." And I get a big pop from Cena, but he goes, and it's Cena is off doing these ridiculously amazing things, and John is eating right. He doesn't need to come back and do this,
Mm-hmm.
and John coming back still making towns, man, that gets my stomach's turning, baby. It gets me pumped up.
I mean, how amazing is it to see a guy like that? Like, not only is he making towns, but he's not just going out there and cutting a promo. He's going out there and he's working matches. Like, he's legit doing these shows. And, I mean, he's doing it on TV, but he's also doing it at all the live events leading up to it. And it's like he doesn't have to, but he's doing it,
It's true. Yeah, John, John and Roman, those guys get a lot of weird flack for certain reasons from a certain group of fans. But I've been in there with both of them. I've been fortunate enough to be in there in both of them, and they're literally probably the two best.
Wow.
Besides me and Gallows and Prince Devitt and AJ Styles.
Right, right.
I mean Finn Balor.
I was about to say, who's this Prince you speak of? Maybe some wrestler from Europe or something like that.
Prince Fergie, sorry.
Yeah, do you ever feel responsible for that fan base? Because, a lot of the fan base that gives crap to the established guys, the Roman Reigns and the John Cenas of the world, those are the guys that would, those are the back of the bus kids that are sitting there going like, no, the good guys are the New Japan guys. Those are the guys who are cheering for the Gallows and Andersons of the world and the Finn Balors of the world and those guys. Do you ever feel like you need to make a proclamation to your fan base to say like, hey, look at what these guys are doing. Take a second.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
Yeah, that's what. But that's why every time I get a chance to talk about John and Roman, I put them over because they're they work hard and they're really great. And to our fan base, guys that I know there's that smarter fan base or whatever that does like Gallows and I like to reach out to them more and tell them to give us a little more pops when you see us out there. Because then maybe just maybe I know that we've got fans and we got lots of fans out there, but maybe if you guys got a little louder for the brothers, maybe we'll still be out there all the time.
That's right. That's what that's the whole story at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
When you got into ridiculous shape over the last several months, and I don't know, when you're doing what it is that you guys do and you're out there every night in your spandex with your shirt off, do people realize as the process is happening, man, I think he's onto something right now? Or is it just like one day somebody kind of shakes their head and goes, wait a minute, like when did you all of a sudden get into immaculate shape?
I did start hearing a couple back to Roman again. I remember Roman saying, "Oh, Carl's getting in WrestleMania shape," and I knew that we weren't that we probably had nothing on WrestleMania. And I went, "Well, it's not really for WrestleMania. It's kind of for my life,
Yeah.
But and Braun Strowman said something. Man, Carl's getting in shape, and this was last year or so. And I think it'd been so being in Japan and living that lifestyle. I kind of carried that over as in eating as much as I possibly could and probably drinking too many beverages as much as I could. And it was time to kind of like, all right, Chad, Carl, let's get this together, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked into some different CrossFit things, and I started watching my diet a lot better. And it's just it's when you got to take your shirt off in front of millions of people, you got to look like a brother. And
yeah.
So I think it was time to turn it up a little bit. And now so now it's good. My wife doesn't hate it, so.
I would imagine not. Yeah, I was sitting there. I was watching. I had your show from the network, the Botch Club. I was watching it, and my wife was in the room, and she was like, what she's and I didn't even know to compliment you on this. Quite frankly, it made me a little bit uncomfortable. But she walks in and she goes, "Man, Karl Anderson just has the best skin." And I went, "What?" And she said, "Out of all the guys, I mean, look at his face. Karl just has the best skin out of all the guys." And I was like, well, I got to ask this guy about his skin regimen. I said, no, he's getting himself into shape. You're just seeing that jawbone and everything. That's all that is. And she was like, nope, he's got the best skin out of everybody. And I was like, geez, Jess,
Oh,
calm
that's
down.
great. Now it's time to go for a Neutrogena sponsor, right, baby?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, man. Not only am I ripped now, I got great skin. I'm on fire. I'm going to go home cocky.
Yeah, did you know that?
Oh.
Or is this just a side effect of getting into brother shape?
Well, I think since we're just shooting straight here and we're being honest, yes, I do know that I've got pretty sweet, smooth skin. And I've always told my hot Asian wife that, like, one of the first things that attracted me to her way back in the day was, oh, that smooth Asian skin, baby. So it's, either she must have rubbed off on me somehow.
Does that day come when you shave your head for the first time? You're like, I'm going to go for the bald look, and you realize you can pull it off, and you got that smooth look. I mean, that's got to be, because the decision every man has to make, whether to go bald or not, is not the easiest decision in the world. Most guys don't decide to go bald. It's out of necessity a lot of times. When you go, but when you go bald and you realize you have this wonderful shaped head and you got this smooth skin, are you sitting there on cloud nine?
I mean, you've got to, because if you shave your head, I mean, you've got to make sure that you've got a good head of hair. I mean, I'm sorry, a good shaped head.
Yeah.
You've got some kind of jawline or some kind of beard, because I was trying to grow my hair out in 2006 maybe, and Rocky Romero, who was one of my best buddies, was looking down behind me and he goes, "Yo, dog." I said, "What?" He goes, "You got to shave this head, man. You got a big hole in the back." I said, "What? Come on." I said, "Nah, man. No, I don't. No, I don't." And he took a picture and he showed it to me. I had this big, massive, like, just and I knew it was there. There was no hair in the back of my head. But I was just, you just try to, you kind of, you try to look the other way. And I finally said, "That's it." I shaved it. I looked in the mirror, and boy, it looked weird. And then I realized after a couple of years, I carried this thing pretty darn well.
It took you some time, though. It wasn't immediate.
It took me some time to get used to it, because that's an intense thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've got it down to a regimen now, and I think I carry the bald-headed, bearded brother look pretty darn good.
Now, what about the Botch Club? Was the Botch Club on the WWE Network a one-time deal? Is this something we're going to see again? Are there tweaks and changes that you'd like to make? Because I thought it was great.
There was one of the producers that did ride along with. His name was Paul, great brother.
Oh yeah.
I guess for some reason we were doing the ride along, and for some reason he was laughing a lot. I don't know why. Probably because we're, in my mind, funny. And he said the first time we did the ride along, he goes, I gotta get these guys on again, and we did it again. Then he said, I've got to create a show for these guys. So he wrote this show. This is his thing. He just wrote just for us. And there's more to it that didn't get to air because parts of it went too long and this and that. But the goal in our mind is to have a whole season of it. And we taped that one to see if what kind of reaction it got. And I know that I heard it had gotten like the highest rated and the most talks about. And I guess there's definitely something in the works to do a whole season. And there's enough mess ups out there. And it wasn't so much about just the mess ups. We did some commentary on some matches that didn't make it, like some really bad WCW matches, and I think that stuff is just as funny as the botches.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can just see, I mean, it's just those moments that you can't believe actually happened in the world of wrestling, and then you get to see it through the eyes of you and Gallows. I mean, it writes itself, right? Yeah,
and then we can just sit there, and we're not being edited, and we're not being told what to say or what not to say, and we're just reacting to what we see, and it's just kind of us being us. And I think when we get a chance to just be us, we can be pretty entertaining brothers.
So you got the Royal Rumble coming up, of course. What else is on the horizon? When you look into 2019, you've gotten into the shape of your life. You're wearing turquoise now in the ring, making everybody stare at you with the bright colors. What is in the head of Karl Anderson for 2019?
And I got word that said people had said the Gallows and I didn't match, and I'm thinking, like, but if you think of Gallows, you think of Anderson, right? If you think of Anderson, you think Gallows. So like the turquoise, I thought the turquoise was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'd like to win the Royal Rumble without Gallows, or he can be my heater, for crying out loud. My music's gonna hit. I'm gonna slide in there, and I'm gonna go stone cold on everybody and win the Royal Rumble. I'd like the Gallows and I to win the tag team championships again. And I'd like to always be with Gallows, but in my mind, I do feel like I'm one of the best wrestlers in the world. I would love to step into single stuff. So I'd like for 2019 to move into that aura somehow.
Well, the Royal Rumble is a good place for that, to pull that move where you clear out the ring and then you're checking your imaginary watch, waiting for somebody else to come out. I think that it could work.
Oh, yeah. Or AJ's in there, my music hits, and he's all surprised, and I throw him out. That's what we need to happen.
Yeah, exactly. AJ. Well, it's about time. AJ's had enough time in the sun. All these guys that you came up with, they all get their time in the sun. When is it going to be Karl Anderson's time?
It's time for me to get my time in the sun. AJ's looking at me as I'm talking about him as well right now. So. I'm going to eliminate you in the Royal Rumble, Alan, AJ.
Well, it's good that you're giving him a heads up.
Yeah,
he's got to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a heads up. So at least maybe he can take a dive for me. Come on, he's made enough money in this business. Come on.
I think that's true. What about? And you're planning on staying in WWE for a long, long time?
I want to be in the WWE. I walked into talent relations and I asked the head of talent relations. I said I'd like to sign a lifetime contract.
Mm-hmm.
And Gallo said he'd like to sign a Legends deal now. And they all kind of laughed, and I wasn't smiling. I'm kind of waiting. So
trying to get that lifetime deal.
I'm trying to sign a lifetime contract as we talk now.
You're trying to get that 20-year Bret the Hitman Hart deal that was supposed to come through, huh?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be for that much money either. It can be for a little less.
Yeah. You're a reasonable man.
Not 20. Yeah, not 20 years. I need it to go for life because I feel like I'm gonna live to 90. I've got 4 kids, and my hot Asian wife is talking a little bit crazy.
Yeah,
and that means number 5 could be on the horizon, and so I need that lifetime contract for whatever amount of money they want to put down there.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if number 5 is on the horizon, that's your own fault for getting yourself into the shape that you got yourself into. But
and my smooth skin, yeah.
And your smooth skin. What's life been like?
Yeah.
You're pretty public with your family on Instagram and whatnot. People can keep up with what's going on in the house Anderson. But the change from raising 3 boys to now you're raising a 4th boy. To have 4 children, Anderson boys, in that house? What is that like?
It is amazingly insane and awesome. And I also forgot, because my 3rd son is 4 years old, so I kind of forgot the baby thing. So it's been kind of fun with the baby, but then when the baby gets a little frustrated with having to just be with me, and like my wife is walking around doing stuff, and I keep thinking, well, when is my wife going to take the baby back? Like, so how long do I have to hold this baby while he doesn't want to be with me anymore? And like, he obviously wants to eat, and she doesn't want to hold him the whole time. So I forgot that part. But I mean, having 4 boys it doesn't sound much. I don't think in my mind it can get much cooler than that.
Uh-huh.
They want to wrestle all the time. They want to play a game where I lay on the floor and they all lay down. I act like I fall asleep. Then they try to get to the door, and I got to tackle all of them all at the same time. So it's just constant. My wife going, "Stocking, you guys, like, you're making the house shake," and it's insanity.
Yeah. Do you do any?
But it's a beautiful insanity.
Are you getting the feeling that anyone in specific, you're like, okay, he's got the gene for it. He's got the athletics. This is the one that's going to end up in the ring.
Well, I got to say that they all have that they all have been. I put a video out of my oldest Caden doing a spine buster on the 7-year-old Silas, and like Silas took an amazing flat back, and Caden did an amazing spine buster. But then so I'm thinking, oh no! And then my 4-year-old they all had basketball games Saturday, and I was able to be home and watch it. My 4-year-old was kept fouling, and nobody else was doing fouls. and everybody was kind of looking at me like, can you control your son? And I was like, I looked at my wife, and I go, I guess tackle basketball in the basement isn't a good thing to do, huh? That's kind of how we that's kind of how we play. Like there's no fouls. We just tackle each other, and there's constant fouls, and so. I could kind of teach them that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, yeah, you got to. Yeah. You got to. So are they ready? Like, because when I'm growing up as a wrestling fan, right, and I'm wrestling, the wrestling buddies or whoever, I'm working on, making a spine buster look as awesome as possible. But I'm, 20 years away from figuring out that there's an art to taking a spine buster too. Do your kids realize when one kid takes the spine buster well, does that kid realize like he also did a good job?
Yeah, because my kids were wrestling with their cousins,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, guys, you got to remember, Ethan. You be careful with Ethan. And Sasai goes, because he doesn't know how to fall, Daddy. I said, yes. And then and Caden goes, and I go, Caden, what? I go, what moves are you only allowed to take when Daddy's here? And he goes, the Hurricane Rana or the Frankensteiner, whichever one I want to call it. I go, yes, that's one. That's one. So they know the moves that I have to be present for, and
right.
they know when they want to do the AA, when they want to do John's finisher, they know that no matter what, they have to protect that. They have to take care of size ahead.
Right.
It's pretty. They've got it down, and they know who to roughhouse with and how to make them if the one cousin can't fall right, well, they don't do that move to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a responsible parent, especially because your kids know to sell for their cousins. Like that's what's important when you're growing up,
Yeah, no, of course, and I can't imagine what it would have been like if Bobby Eaton was my dad, like all brothered out and like coming home and sitting in the basement and telling me how to take one of his moves that he does, and you see it on TV, and like it's got to be insane for them.
Yeah, but you'd love it. I mean, you raise your kids what would it have been like if Bobby Eaton had raised you? Well, that's how you're going to raise your kids.
Oh, it would, and occasionally, and I'll get recognized every now and then, and like
sure, of
sometimes
course.
they'll go like, and then like the people ask for pictures, and they go, Daddy, how come people ask for pictures? And I go, because your daddy is a brother, boy. Daddy is a brother. Because Daddy is cool. Like, is Daddy not cool? And they're like, yeah, Daddy is cool. And I go, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
So what about talking shop?
If my dad would have been Bobby Eaton, I wouldn't have been able to even. I would have probably been staring at him the whole time.
You would have been the one asking for photos. You would have been taking your fake selfies in front of your dad all the time.
Lay down, Dad. Let me try the Alabama Jam on you. Is that what it is? Flying leg drop?
Yeah, I think so. What about talking shop? I keep hearing internet rumors in the Twitter sphere that talking shop is on the horizon. That there's room in the podcast world for more of Anderson and Gallows. Finally, what's going on?
There is. Talking shop is something very near and dear to us, and we like to keep that aura out there for people, because I know we get messages about it all the time. My only thing is talking shop has to be unrestricted. So yeah. I don't want to bring it out now and have to have it edited. So maybe someday you never know when it can come back, but someday, somehow, it will come back unannounced. You'll see a podcast popped out.
Could be a week. It could be a year. It could be a decade. You don't know, but it's not.
Could be, yeah. It could be 65-year-old and 63-year-old or 62-year-old Anderson and Gallows in my mansion in Tampa doing a podcast.
Which, let's be honest, would be the best possible outcome. Like you and Gallows just way over the hill telling old road stories and stuff. I mean, that's the show that I think everybody wants to fast forward to hear.
I mean, call me crazy, but at least that gives me something to look forward to in 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Once that
besides my lifetime contract.
Right.
I'm going to have here.
Right. Once that lifetime contract starts to die down and those dates get less and less, it's like you can unleash the AARP Talking Shop podcast revival.
There's Triple H now. Let me see if I can get this started.
See if you can get it done, man. Man.
You want to talk to me about my contract, Hunter? That's a no? All right, hold on.
Well, what I like about this is that I'm not even going to mention the fact that we're doing this on a Tuesday. I just want people to think that anytime that one of you guys is doing a podcast over the phone, that you guys all just hang out with each other, and it's the WWE universe every time that you're anywhere.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, Hunter's here, Vince is over there, and Shelton Benjamin's right there looking at me, and my God, there's EC3. Can I say that?
How long?
Well, breaking news.
How long did it take you to get acclimated to that WWE locker room? Because clearly it seems that that you're quite at home with all the good brothers in the WWE. Is that something that happened very quickly? Or is that something? Yeah. I think just being a brother for so long, and I remember when I was in New Japan, I know when A-Train went back to the WWE,
the WWE came over to Japan, he asked me to take a couple of the brothers out, and of course I obliged because I happened to be in Tokyo, and got a chance to hang out with Roman when the Shield had just started on the road. Roman was there and Curtis Axel was there, and we just brothered up, and that was 2012. 2012 we hung out in Tokyo. So then, 2013 they came back, and so I got a chance to, to meet these guys, and I think they figured out pretty quickly that, that we are, not, pieces of crap. And I think when we showed up, it was good to see all them again, and I think they knew that we were good brothers, and it was short answer, quickly.
Yeah. Well, wow.
It didn't take long to brother up with everybody, and they're all. And this is a great locker room, and with Shinsuke being here and AJ's here,
right?
And like I said, I met Roman before, and it's just a lot of good brothers here, man. It's a good locker room, and hey, man, I've been doing this a long time, so I just enjoy being around the brothers.
Yeah, and I mean, when somebody genuinely enjoys it as much as you do, I think it's pretty transparent right away that this is a good dude. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, I enjoy it. It's I like to be around the boys, and I love being at home. And then when I get a chance to get up to pop on that road for a couple of days, it's like, oh baby, I get to see them. I get to see the brothers. I know I'll be at home and I'll be smiling at my phone, and Christine, my wife, will go, what's so funny? And I go, oh, it's just something EC3 said or something. She goes, God, you love the boys. And I said, yes, honey, I do love the boys. I do love the boys.
Oh, that's great. You are you're one in a million, Karl Anderson. The Royal Rumble, of course, coming up in Phoenix. What else is on the horizon? What else are we letting the people know about?
The Royal Rumble is going to be huge. Takeover is going to be in Phoenix. Is it Takeover at Talking Stick? Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah. NXT Takeover Phoenix.
Yep, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be out there doing Access. So if you get a chance to go out there, if you get a chance to be there, me and Gallows will be. Or is it called Access? Is it Royal?
It is Royal like Rumble Access.
The Royal Rumble stuff. Yep.
Royal Rumble Access. You get I mean, think about it. You guys get the chance to go out there. You're sitting there. You're listening to this podcast now. You're getting a kick out of Karl Anderson being so open and honest with everybody. You get the opportunity, if you're going to Phoenix, to go and brother it up yourself. You get to brother down with Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson as part of Royal Rumble Access. That's a lifetime opportunity that you'll remember forever.
Oh, you can walk right up to us and two sweet us, just like when I walked by Big E today in the hallway, and I threw up a two sweet to see if he'd give it to me or not, and he goes, "Man, I only do this for you," and he did it. So that's what So when you see us at Access, you can two sweet us, baby.
I love it. So everybody get your tickets to Royal Rumble Access to meet Gallows and Anderson. Get your tickets to the Royal Rumble in Phoenix so you can see Karl Anderson win the Royal Rumble and start his road to WrestleMania. And, of course, you got to get tickets to TakeOver Phoenix. I mean, we're going to start the year off with a bang, Karl Anderson. Phoenix is going to be on fire on the weekend of
can't wait.
Starting on, I guess, Friday, January 25th, Saturday, January 26th, Sunday, January 27th. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, and Raw and SmackDown's out there.
Oh, my God.
TakeOver, then you got the Royal Rumble, and everybody loves the Royal Rumble, no matter what.
It's the best. It's
like I told my wife, I said, the Royal Rumble's coming up in Phoenix, and she goes, I thought you just did the Royal Rumble. Why is it coming up again? I said, no, honey, that was the greatest Royal Rumble. That was in a different country, for crying out loud.
Yeah, come on.
This is the Royal Rumble that you look forward to in January, every January. For everybody looks forward to that. You know what I mean? No matter what company you work for, or who you wrestle for, or whatever, no matter what, you're kind of paying attention to the Royal Rumble.
And how poetic would it be? I mean, this would really become your class's event. The Royal Rumble is where AJ Styles debuted. The Royal Rumble is where Shinsuke Nakamura won the thing so he could go on to WrestleMania, and now potentially becomes the biggest night in the career of Karl Anderson. I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see it. Thank you for being so generous with your time today, Karl Anderson.
My good brother, thank you for having me again. I can't wait to come in studio wearing all my merch again and just sit and talk and put ourselves over and have a great time.
It's the best. Thanks so much, man.